Good morning. Today we're going to look at some percentages questions. So we already know how to find a percentage of a number and then to increase a number by a percentage. So I know that if I wanted to increase £200 by 15%, I could find 10% by dividing 200 by 10 to get £20. And I could find 5% by halving that, because it's half of 10%. So that's £10. Say 15%, I could add them together to get £30. So if I want to increase £200 by 15%, I need to add on £30 to my £20 to get £230. But we have to do something different this week. Some of the questions ask us to use a multiplier. This means instead of finding 10% and finding 5%, we can also increase something by 15% by multiplying it by something. So the way I'm going to think about this is I'm going to say if I had £200, that's my whole total, that's 100% of what I've got at the moment, and I want to add on 15%, this extra little bar on the end. So altogether I have 115%. So it's 100% plus my 15%. And if I wanted to write 115% as a decimal, that would be 1.15. So another way I could increase £200 by 15% would be to write 200 multiplied by 1.15. And if I type that into my calculator, that's going to equal £230. And using it this way is called using a decimal multiplier. I could also do this if I want to decrease a number. So say I want to decrease £250 by 12%. Well, I've already got 100%, but this time I want to take off this block here, this 12%. So what have I got left? I had 100%, I take off 12%, I'm going to end up with 88% left. And 88% is the same as 0.88. That means to find what I'd get if I decrease £250 by 12%, I could write 250 times 0.88. And that would give me the same answer as if I found 12% and took it away from 250. So remember that 88% is 100% take away 12%. Now also, later on in the exercise, you get some questions where you're given word problems like 30% of a number is £180 or 40% of a number is 12, find the original number. Now these come later on in the exercise. I think they're from about question 17, so it might be better to come back to this video once you've tried some of the earlier questions. So if I want to find 40% of a number to get 12, I could have gone 100%, find out what 10% is, and then find out what 40% is from that. So I'm sort of going to work backwards to get back to 100%. I'm going to say that 40% of my number was 12. So why don't I work out what 10% is next? Well, to get from 40% to 10%, I'm going to divide by 4. That means to find out what 10% of my original number is, I'm also going to divide by 4. So that must be 3. Now what I really want is the original number, and the original number is 100%. So to get from 10% to 100%, I need to multiply by 10. So let's multiply this 3 by 10. That's going to give me 30. So my original number is 30. Finally, I have questions that look a bit more like this. So they're worded questions, but they're using the same idea. So last year I put some money in the bank. I received 10% interest. I now have £660. How much did I have before I gained that interest? Well, if I use the same idea as I did earlier in the video, I can say I had 100% originally, and then I received 10% interest. So I added on this 10%. So now altogether, I have 110%. So I can say that 110% is the same as £660. Now, I want to know what 100% is, but that's quite difficult to get to. So I'm going to try and get to 10% first. Because to get to 10%, I could divide 110% by 11. So let's try it. Let's try dividing £660 by 11. We'll get £60. Now what I really want is 100% because that's the original number. And to get that, I'd need to multiply 10% by 10. So let's multiply £60 by 10. That will give me £600. So my original answer, how much money I had before the interest, was £600. I hope that helps you having got the last couple more challenging questions.